Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Focus on the Family this week. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, one God, Amen. Today, we're going to be talking about a topic around establishing habits. So this is part of the series for self-discovery and helping the self as part of the family, so focusing on myself. فالنهارده بنتكلم على العادات و establishing او creating العادات الكويسة in our life, which is a very important and also hard topic. So without further ado, we'll start with this. So first off, I wanted to say that this topic is inspired by a book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. So credit to a lot of the concepts and most of the concepts in this presentation goes to James Clear on this book. So it was a great read, and I highly recommend it for others as well. So why are habits important? Why is it important for us to even focus on habits? The habits sometimes are very small things. Do they matter? Do the small things matter? هل هي مشكلة كبيرة يعني لو أكلت بطريقة معينة أو كلمت حد بطريقة معينة أو ما قضيتش وقت ال5 دقايق أو 10 دقايق أركز مع أولادي أو مع مراتي أو مع زوجي. كل small things, all of these small things, are these important, or do they make a difference? And I want to start by an example here. They did kind of studies and measurement. If you're flying from Los Angeles to New York and the pilot changed the elevation of the plane at the start by 3.5 degrees. So لو احنا مسافرين من لوس أنجلوس لنيويورك والطيار اللي على الطيارة غير المسار بتاع الطيارة 3.5 دجري لفوق, هيوصل in Washington DC, not New York. That small shift in the degrees will land them in Washington DC, not New York. So that's how much of a change over time or over a big distance. That's how much you're changing, and that's how much that 3.5 degrees, which the passengers wouldn't possibly would not have felt. Only the pilot knows that was the small change, but the passengers would have landed in a completely different place from where they wanted to go or where the original destination was. Another example is if you spent an hour on social media every day, or let's say 4 hours every day. If it's 4 hours in a year, that's probably 1,400 some hours in a full year. If you switch that and take just 1 hour of that and try to build a skill every day, you have added a new skill to your resume and your skill sets in a year. So these are small things. 1 hour a day is not huge, but the accumulation of that, التراكم بتاع التغيير الصغير هو ده اللي بينتج على نتيجة أحسن في الآخر أو نتيجة مختلفة. Again, back to the example, it's you're going to land in a different place. So even if it's just 3.5 degrees of change or 1 hour a day and whatnot. So imagine what would happen if you can accomplish the following things consistently. Just spending some more time with God, 5 minutes a day even, developing one new skill, spending 10 minutes with every member of my family, my wife or my spouse, and my kids. Just that, doing one small thing to change my health. and imagine where you're going to land after developing that. Imagine the change you'll have, even if it's not significant. The change you'll have over time is going to be more significant. But the challenge with habits is that you don't see, because it's small, you don't see the change immediately, and that's part of the challenge. So how do habits work? Habits have 4 key components to them. أول حاجة الcue أو trigger. What triggers the habit? So let's say, for instance, you're stressed at work. You have a lot of stress at work. فده الcue. The trigger is stress at work. So that translates to, okay, I'm stressed. So you crave, which is the second part, a craving for a change. So first is your trigger, that's the stress in our example. 2 is your craving to change your mood or change the situation. That craving results in a response or action, which in our example in this picture here, it's overeating or eating unhealthy or whatnot. So your action is to eat because you're craving the change, and it all started with a cue. And then at the end is the reward. The reward is, in this example, that you're going to be satisfied, you're soothing yourself from that stress. So again, the way habits work, it starts with a trigger, then you crave change, you respond with an action, and you get the reward. It starts with a trigger, you crave change, responds with an action, and you get the reward at the end. So good habits and bad habits work exactly in the same way. And James Clear leverages that to turn things around and start focusing on developing good habits versus bad habits. But it's key, it's important for us to understand that this is how habits work. And it's hard because old habits, we know, can be satisfying faster. They're easier. يعني مثلا in the example we just said, I'm stressed at work, I can open the fridge or even now order Uber Eats, even so we're at home, order Uber Eats or drive through Tim Hortons or whatever and pick up something and eat that, and I know I'm going to be satisfied quickly. Or I'm stressed at work, I need a change of state. I'm going to open up my social media and just kind of numb myself, or I'm going to open Netflix and watch my favorite show. I'm just going to like eat the time away like that. I know that's gonna soothe me, but it's a very short-term focus. And if I continue on that, I will not be landing in a spot where I'm better. I'm going to be landing in a spot where I'm actually going behind. The challenge is new habits is like we're taking steps in climbing a ladder, which is against gravity. It's not easy. Yani working out, مثلا going to the gym, or not being lazy and going outside, especially with the quarantine. A lot of us, we're kind of lazy, and then the laziness brings more laziness. فالكسل بيجيب كسل واحنا قاعدين واحنا مش حاسين احنا بنرجع لورا. بس في نفس الوقت habits going upwards and going to the new habits, the good habits, is hard. So how do we manage that and manage to establish those new habits? وانا بتكلم على habits فيها صحة كتير وهكذا، بس in the context of family، في نطاق الأسرة برضو ده موجود. يعني ازاي انا ممكن اخلي وقتي مع الأولاد a bit more enjoyable, just a little bit more enjoyable. ازاي ممكن اخلي يعني في وقت for my spouse, even if it's just a little bit. How can I make that time? How can I carve that out? ازاي ممكن احط ربنا كpriority في يومي و spend time مع، حتى لو وقت قليل، وانا بقول كده وغيري اي حد would be giving that presentation, we're all guilty of this. احنا كلنا بنقع في الموضوع ده. بس how can we um, keep doing that and keep working on it? Because at the end of the day احنا كتير we always compare. احنا كتير بنقارن مع ناس consciously or unconsciously، يعني واحنا واعيين او احنا مش واخدين بالنا بنقارن نفسنا بالناس. ولما نشوف حد successful او حد ناجح او حد يعني بيعمل حاجه مختلفه ونفسنا نبقى زيهم وهكذا، بنبص على السطح من فوق، the top of the iceberg. That's what you see. You see the result. What we don't see is the dedication, the hard work, and all that goes with it to really become better and land in a better place. وعدلي دايما كان بيقول لنا is you have two choices, whether it's parenting, whether it's being a good husband or wife, whether getting closer to God, it doesn't matter, but we have two choices. We either try again or give up. These are two choices in anything. If we are not happy with something, we have two choices, either to give up or try again. And trying again is the bottom of the iceberg اللي احنا شايفينه في الصورة، الجزء اللي تحت اللي مش باين، هو ده الجزء that makes the difference. But again, it's hard. It needs a lot of work. Even establishing the habits or the routines, which we're going to talk about, is very hard. But that's the choice we have. We either give up or try again. And an example of these, even our most successful, some of the most successful people, say an example of Bill Gates. When he was in college, when he was in university, كان بيدرس، كان عنده عادة إن هو ما يخلصش أي حاجة إلا last minute. So he waits for any assignment or any presentation and only finishes it last minute. So he doesn't do a lot of work and he gets it done good enough and goes on with that. But when he started business, he shared publicly that was a really bad habit. I'm quoting Bill Gates in this slide. So when I went into business, that was a really bad habit, and it took me a couple years to get over that. So any successful person will have challenges and habits that they have to let go of and build new habits. But Bill Gates had to go through the same thing, and it took him 2 years to get over a small habit and make a better habit of better preparing and being better ready for the challenges in his business and so on and so forth, so that he is able to be successful. So it is hard, but again, what's your choice? Are you going to give up, or are you going to keep trying again? So the book describes 4 laws of behavior change. And so this is the part where it's a bit of good news, that habits can be easy. We can make them easy. احنا ممكن نعمل الموضوع ده سهل، بس لازم نفكر على الهابتس a bit more different. كل اللي في تفكيرنا ان هو going to the gym، او ان انا spend time، او ان انا sometimes even اصلي بتبقى تقيلة علينا. And the good news is we can turn that around and trick our mind into forming better habits. So the 4 laws of behavior change, according to James Clear, is making the habit obvious, easy, attractive, and satisfying. So we're going to go through each of those and see how that maps to getting the habit into making it easier. And it all is related to what we talked about first, how habits work. There's a cue, there's a trigger, there's a craving for change, a response or an action, and a reward. And these 4 laws will help us switch good habits into to fall into that and be able to more easily go through with them. Is it going to be extremely easy that you don't feel any effort or any يعني هل هي هتحاول تبقى سهلة جدا ومن غير أي تعب؟ No. It's always going to be, there's a component of hardship and component of pushing that we have to do, but this makes it much more easier and so on. There's some very neat examples that are going to be coming up. So first up is making the habit obvious. So making it obvious is making a very clear cue, a very clear trigger for us. It might be a reminder. It might be something that I do normally and that I get used to. Okay, when I do this, I have to do this after automatically. So the cues have to be very, very clear and obvious. We can't just say, oh, I'm going to exercise tomorrow morning, or I'm going to pray tomorrow morning, or I'm going to read the Bible, or I'm going to spend time with my family, and so on. What is the cue? What's the trigger for you to start that action? So that's the first, is making the cue or the trigger obvious. Second is making it easy. If I say, okay, I'm going to work out, as an example, I'm going to go to the gym, and I keep thinking about all the steps. I have to put my clothes on. I have to drive to the gym. I have to, or at the moment, just put maybe clothes on and go to the basement and do my workout, and then shower, and then so on and so forth. The routine is hard. Might be too hard for us to go through. It has to be attractive. So we can't just have one vision of that task as being burdensome, and we just have to push ourselves through it, and we have to suffer through it in order to gain the benefits. It has to be somewhat attractive. There has to be some level of attractiveness to that habit. And four, it has to be satisfying. If the sitting down on the couch is way more satisfying than my habit, maybe there's something different that we need to do in structuring that habit to make it more rewarding and satisfying. This is not going to happen overnight. So the first time you go through this, obviously sitting on the TV is going to be easier and more satisfying than going through the habit. But again, what's your choice? Are we going to go through it? Are you going to give up, or are you going to keep trying? And at the same time, knowing that there are ways to make this easier and more satisfying for you. You don't have to suffer through this. So what are some strategies to make habits fall into the four laws, right? So what are two strategies that can make them easy, obvious, easy, attractive, and satisfying? So there's two strategies overall. So there's something called stack and start. So we're going to start, that's the first strategy, stack and start. So what is stack and start? So we'll start with stack. Habit stacking is basically tying one activity to another. So kids, for instance, whenever they go to the toilet, when they flush, or typically we learn, when we flush, we just open the tap and wash our hands. So that's habit stacking. The habit of flushing the toilet automatically gets you to the habit of washing your hands. So an example of using that is use an old habit to cue a new habit. So brushing your teeth, then pick up a floss. That becomes your stack. So whenever I finish my brushing my teeth, I'm going to pick up the floss. I'm going to floss one tooth, for instance. And the idea is, if you keep doing that, you'll start feeling more energy to floss more teeth than just one tooth. But just make it easy, but stack the habits so that you have a very clear cue. Whenever I put down my brush, I'm going to pick up a floss. And you can apply this example of stacking into a lot of other habits. So we're going to talk about a few more examples, but this is the stacking part. So what about the starting ritual? And we'll take the example of Twyla Tharp, who is a renowned ballet dancer, and she had to go to the gym every single day. And her starting ritual was actually to wake up at 5:30 a.m., put on her gym clothes, get out of her apartment, get into a cab, and tell the driver the address of the gym. And that is her ritual to go to the gym. That is her start ritual. So what's interesting about that? She wasn't fighting the process of working out. So that was not the focus for her. The focus was the start ritual, just to get in a cab and tell the driver where to go. She just had to do that. Just wake up, just focus on putting the clothes, get into the cab, tell the cab the address. And it was easier at that point to continue to the gym rather than telling the cab, oh, you know what, forget it. I'm gonna go back home. So all she had to do was not focus on the workout, not focus on how hard the workout is, but just focusing on getting it to that level where it's hard enough to go back now. So this is a simple example, but these are just examples to get us thinking about how do we structure something so to make the start easy, and we just go through the start and move through that. So if we take both the stack and start together, you end up with a kind of a ritual to cue and to start the process. So in the flossing of the teeth, I floss my teeth, put down the brush. That's the cue. Pick up a floss, and at this point, it's just one tooth. It's not a big deal. Same thing with getting into a cab and going. That's the ritual. That's the start. You don't need to think about anything else. At that point, you'll have enough energy because going back is harder, and you can go through that. So another example is after I finish brushing my teeth and flossing, that's the cue for a 5-minute prayer, or a 10-minute prayer, or a 15-minute prayer. And all I need to do is go sit in the corner and hold a cross, or sit in a corner and hold the Bible, and shut the door of my room, and that's all I need to do. That's the start ritual. And after that, anything that I accomplish in that prayer is great, because just the fact that you've done that, you're going to do it every day. That's the micro change. That's the small change. That's the 3.5 degrees that the plane changed at the beginning when we were talking about it. That's the 3.5 degree change that will make the plane land in a very different place than where it was. So all you need to do, brush your teeth. That's a cue. Your start ritual is sitting down, opening the Bible, and closing the door and opening the Bible. That's all you need to do. The rest, whatever you accomplish out of that prayer, that's a success. And then you keep doing that every day. The second set of strategies are called sync and score. So the first one is sync. So syncing is really tying something that you enjoy with the new habit that you want to accomplish. So an example is, I will only get to enjoy, in the first example, games on my iPad while I am walking on the treadmill, as an example. Again, being safe and walking slowly, but the idea is I got to walk, even however many minutes, it doesn't matter. So that would be syncing the games with the walking. I will only have a certain dessert or cookies or whatever right after my workout. Doesn't matter how long the workout is, but you're syncing both together, so you're making the habit a little bit more satisfying and rewarding than nothing at all. I will listen to my favorite music as I'm doing my homework, or I'm writing something, or anything around those lines. So it's always the craving of the reward or of the change, has to be more than the resistance. And again, you don't have to exercise a lot. You don't have to walk a lot. You don't have to do like major changes, just small changes, but put a reward, sync a reward system in there so that you have kind of that push and that extra drive for you, so that you make the craving of that reward bigger than your resistance to the habit. So we talk about sync and score. So the score is really to keep track, because at the end of the day, when you have completed this habit for so many days, you will see that this is what you've done. And you will be able to look back and say, yes, I've accomplished this month. I can actually do it next month. And that helps you with rewarding yourself again with a score to move forward. And let's say you've walked on the treadmill for 2-3 days in the month, or even the full month. Then you can say, you know what, I am taking care of my health. Don't put huge standards. Don't look at that huge standard, put that burden on yourself. No, if you did something small during the month, during the week, even during the day, then you are taking care of your health. You are getting closer to God. You are getting closer to your family. It's the small changes that make the huge difference, because over the long run, you will land in a very different place than where you were today. So if we bring everything together, we have the 4 laws of behavior change at the top: make it obvious, easy, attractive, satisfying. The 2 strategies for change, being stack and start and sync and score, becomes those foundational components to develop your new habits and form new habits like that. So again, stack and start, make it easy to start, tie in a very clear cue like brushing your teeth and starting. Make the start very easy, make the process very easy to start. Don't focus on the actual activity or even what you are going to accomplish in that activity. Just start something. And then sync and score. Sync your activity with something rewarding after. After I finish my Bible reading and my prayer, I'm going to enjoy a nice cup of coffee. Keep score. How many times did I do that in the week or in the month? And look back and say, I'm actually growing closer to God, or I'm growing closer to my family, or I'm actually getting more fit. And through these 2 strategies, hopefully you can form better habits to help your family, to help yourself, and land in a much better place than where you are today. Thank you very much for listening today. If you have any comments or questions, send us. And you can go to the website anytime, orthodoxy.ca/family, to know about our schedule and our sessions. And there's the recordings that should be there as well if you've missed previous sessions. Thank you so much and have a great day. God bless.